Hi, I'm Jerry N. Johnson. I'm a senior. I'm an IDS major. My two concentrations are sports management and family counseling. Today I will be interviewing Ms. Catherine Worst, a rugby coach on the collegiate level. So, Ms. Worst, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I go by Katie usually. I'm a rugby player and coach. I've been coaching for about probably 9 years. I've been playing for 13.
Okay. Which level do you coach and why did you choose to coach that level?
I have coached all different levels. Like my work, I did a lot of work with youth development, like middle school, early elementary school. And then, but the level that I had the most success with, the one I enjoy the most, is the collegiate level. So I coach at University of Minnesota and University of Colorado.
Okay. Why did you get into coaching?
I got into coaching because I just really love the game, and it's a great way to, you can't be loving your job every day. And I like to make a difference in athletes' lives, and I've got a lot of kind of great experiences through coaching, and I'm a competitive individual.
Right. So I asked you why. Now can you tell me, how did you get into coaching?
Well, in college, since I coach an emerging sport or a newer sport, I kind of ended up becoming the coach by default because we just didn't have enough people that were around to volunteer.
So, can you describe like your priorities as a coach? Like, what are your top priorities?
Sure. My top priorities are that the athletes learn and that they kind of understand the big picture of the game. Also that I give them the ability to help make decisions, because I think decision making on the field can transfer over to life.
Right.
So kind of giving them a lot of autonomy, ability to make decisions, and that I give them as much technical knowledge as I have. So, and then I also learn from them too.
Okay. Now can you describe to me like your overall coaching philosophy?
My overall coaching philosophy is, whatever activities or actions or events that we get involved with, is how can we kind of multiply the effect of the benefit. So an example would be, say we're going to run a fundraiser, right? So instead of just selling something, how about if we host some type of skills clinic for local area kids, so that not only is there learning of the skills, but we're also raising money. Or if we're trying to ramp up the intensity, it's about also making it a part of decision making is in it too. So my philosophy is basically, how can we maximize our efficiency, use our time to the best of our ability, and also have fun while we do it.
Right. Now can you tell me, what is your greatest characteristic as a coach?
I think my ability to relate to the athletes, and I take on a lot of efforts with students or athletes as well to get to know the individuals, kind of their background, what their goals are, and also give them a lot of ability to make decisions, so that really if they want to participate in athletics, it's about their choice to be involved in it.
Right.
So probably to have fun and get to know the athletes is a good strength.
Now I'm going to ask you, what is your weakest characteristic?
Well, weakest characteristic is difficulty in making really tough decisions or when conflict arises. So, no coach really wants to tell a kid they're cut from the starting lineup, or have to be the disciplinarian. So kind of having those tough conflict situations are the ones that I struggle with. And I think that's because most of my athletes really, I'm higher on the likability scale, so it's tough when you have to tell somebody something they don't want to hear.
I understand that. So how do you handle criticism, if any?
Sure, like criticism from
like the fans, like the people.
Yeah, good question. Criticism from fans or others. In general, I try to put myself in their shoes. They're coming from a place where they have a genuine concern for what it is that I'm doing. So if I try to understand kind of the root of where they're coming from, I think it helps me to be better. And also to be willing to say, I've made a mistake.
Right.
I think that really helps with authenticity, and people are a lot less angry or conflict oriented if they understand, hey, I'm human and I make mistakes. Same as the athletes do, and I kind of go to great lengths to tell athletes that making mistakes is okay, it's a part of the learning process. So that way, if I talk to athletes about that can kind of trickle down to fans and parents and people who understand that mistakes are just about learning.
Okay. What are some of your goals for your coaching career?
Goals for my coaching career, I'm kind of looking at trying to move up into the national ranks and eventually would like to coach the Collegiate All-American program for women's rugby. And then probably I aspire, rugby is an NCAA emerging sport, so I aspire to eventually be paid full-time professional in that position. So I'm going back to school to get my PhD, so the idea of becoming a kind of full-time tenure track professor and then also coaching full-time would be my ideal goal.
Like, can you tell me, if you can remember, like, what are some of the key points or key factors that your coaches in your past told you that you applied to your coaching now?
Oh, definitely. I've had two really great coaches. One coach taught me, in particular, a lot about the technical aspects of the game and understanding kind of defensive components and attacking components, and really gave me the tools. Like, he was like a book of knowledge about the sport of rugby. Then I had another coach that was really fantastic about explaining to me kind of the cultural and global aspects of it, so understanding that the game is kind of bigger than just what we have here in the U.S.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the two great messages, is technical information and then the culture of the sport, because it is different from many. And I try to keep both of those in balance so that, you know, athletes can get both of those from me when I coach.
Last but not least, how do you want to be remembered as a coach?
I would like to be remembered as a coach that made rugby an enjoyable sport. One that, because rugby is different in that you can play for a lifetime.
Right.
So, and for me, the reason I got involved with it and why I kind of went the professional route to teach young people was I never had the chance to play when I was younger. I didn't start until I was 20 years old. So my job was to make sure that there's as many opportunities as possible. So it's about just being an ambassador for the sport is something definitely that I would want to be remembered for. And somebody that genuinely cared about the well-being of the athletes. And that they have a great time, they have fun. Because it has to be fun or it's tough to stick it out over the years.
I understand. I did a study and asked student athletes and coaches what do they think some of the quality characteristics of a great coach. As a professional coach and a professor, what do you feel like some of the quality characteristics are of coaching, of great coach?
Well, it's fair to say that that's a really great study because it makes sense to ask the athletes, right? So glad that you're doing this research. And we do talk about it in a number of our classes. I teach introduction to sport coaching here. And and I always ask my students what they think as well. And some of the things that I consider to be quality characteristics are that they're highly organized. So that when athletes show up to practice, that they feel like the coach has put time into making a practice plan and the equipment is where it needs to be, and that things kind of run in an organized fashion. So that's also like paperwork or just helping them with grades, things like that. So there's that kind of side of it. Then there's also the technical side of it, that the coach knows or has technical knowledge of the game.
Yeah.
So that great coaches, they know the sport, right? They know the ins and outs. They know X's and O's, you know, defensive system. They know plays that they can run, things like that. And that when athletes come to them and they have questions, that the coach can help them when they are either making errors or they're trying to understand different parts of the sport.
Right.
So there's that. I also think that they're good communicators. I think that most, especially with younger generation of athletes now and texting and Facebook, and that coaches that do well with this new group of athletes kind of coming in, that they're open to different forms of communication,
Right.
and that the communication is, the lines are very open to it, so that an athlete feels like they can come to them and talk to them when they're either having a problem or even if things are going really well, they want to come in and feel like they're validated by talking to their coach.
Right.
So beyond that, in general, that they're likable, that they're fun, that they, you know, are enthusiastic about the sport. They enjoy being there with young people. So I think those are some characteristics that are pretty strong.
Okay. I know for me as an athlete, I like when the coach is more open to different types of learning and, you know, just being likable guy, like you said.
Sure, and I do agree with you because different types of learning, there's lots of different kinds of learners. You know, you've got, you know, the type of learners that are more kinesthetic where they have to go out and try it to get it, you know. They might have to try it a couple of different times, which is why it's important to say that if you make mistakes, that's okay. It's part of the learning process. And, you know, or even somebody's more visual, they need to see more demonstrations, or somebody's more auditory and they either have to hear it or they have to talk through it themselves. So, and there's many different kinds of learning styles, but good coaches try to apply lots of different tools. You know, essentially a coach has like a tool belt, right? So the different ways of giving demonstrations, ways of instructing, those are all tools that they can use to help reach a number of different kinds of learners.
Right.
So I think that that helps coaches to do well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.